Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of questionable parentage, it is your homeboy, CaptNRetro, and I am here live with a couple of my homeboys today. We're gonna pull this music down just a smidgems. Amadeus. And you know what? I'll try and leave just a little bit of music playing in the background, just in case.
So on a side note, real quick, was that I'm a player?
Was that what?
Was that Tech 9?
That was Amadeus. Rock Me Amadeus, a 1980s Falco song. Amadeus, Amadeus.
It really was that.
Okay, well, Tech 9 redid that as I'm a player. I'm a player.
Oh, okay, well, no. That sounds amazing, awesome, though.
I will send it to you later.
Boys and girls, I am CaptNRetro. Over here is my homeboy, Emceemur. Say hey, Emceemur. Where'd you go?
Hey, Emceemur, where'd you go?
Well, you ain't got to say that, but say hi to everyone. And then we got my other buddy, DatGameCollector, is joining in today. What's up, Dat?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on the podcast tonight.
No worries. We like to have a guest every now and then and somebody else to pick their brain. It's awfully fun to do. We got Lucky Collector in the house. What's up, Lucky? We got a couple other folks watching. We're ready. We got all kind of stuff to talk about today. Murr's got a pile of notes. Murr, what do you got? You gonna start it off? We're gonna go with you. We're gonna go with you and Dat. We're gonna start at Crazy Town like that.
Well, you know, something that's been on a lot of people's lips lately is PS5. They talking, yapping. I'm not ready to hear it yet. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about it, possibly a new Switch model. I'm even less than that, but and we're all kind of on edge wondering what Xbox is going to do next. I mean, regardless of the whole 5-year rule or whatever's happening with that, I'm not ready to buy new systems yet. And I think a lot of people are. I think I'm in the lower percentile of that. I think I'm alone on that. So I want to talk a little bit tonight about what we can expect on that and why we should expect what we're expecting.
Interesting.
For clarification,
DatGameCollector is our resident Xbox expert, and so I'm really concerned about what's under the hood on that thing.
Only original. But let's get some clarification here real quick. So, Captain, I know you definitely have a PS4 because you stream on that quite a bit. The Pro and the X and the Switch. Murray, you definitely have a Switch. You obviously have a PS4 because there's PS4 games on you. And you have an Xbox One because we played on that. Captain, do you have an Xbox One of any sort?
Yes, sir.
Which you got, that regular, the Slim, or the X?
I got the OG.
Okay, so I'm the only one who has like the superior units. So for me, I got the Pro with Hav. Hav convinced me to get it actually, so we could play Destiny 2 together. We both got the Destiny 2 bundle, and I enjoyed that. And like some of the exclusives for that thing are fantastic.
Are you talking about the Xbox Pro model? Which one is that?
No, for the Pro, right?
I've got
just the PlayStation.
I've got a PS4 Pro. I have an Xbox.
Oh, you do?
I only have the original Xbox One, the first one that came out.
Right.
So I thought that's what you're talking about, like the Scorpio or the One S or whatever they're called. So my bad.
No, but so for the Pro, like it makes all the exclusives look really great. But like as far as multiplats, like you're gonna want the X. I've noticed because I mean I have all three of them. So like I've noticed that if you want the multiplats, you totally want to go with the X. But as far as like Xbox One in the future, I don't know if there's really going to be an Xbox 4 necessarily. I think they're going to go down the Apple route. And like every, let's say 3 to 4 to 5 years, they're just going to kind of come out with a new Xbox One device to be in your living room, so to speak. I think that's kind of the approach that they're going to go for.
Okay.
Well, that's certainly something to think about. And I have not upgraded to an Xbox One X yet. I need there to be a little more reason for me to do so before I do it, although I'm intrigued and I do want it. Just haven't pulled the trigger yet. But then, you know, you have that. That's on the market. I could go buy that today. I'm happy with the PS4, though. There's nothing I really want that thing to do that it's not doing. And no one will shut up about a PS5. And the people have spoken. It's time for it. Let's have it. What is it? What is it going to do? Are we
Do
talking
either
about
of you want
8K
them?
resolution here? 5160p? I mean, what do you need this thing to do that it isn't already? Why are we in this groove where we've been programmed to think, oh well, it's been 5 years,
Well, I will say this,
garbage now.
it's been 5 years, but every system basically has been on that 5 to 7 year range before it.
Gen, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's electronics, man. They get smarter, they get faster, they get cheaper. That's the goal, and eventually it's going to be like every 2 years, dude, and then like every 6 months something's going to, you know what I mean? Like that's where you draw the line to me. Now 5 to 7 years is a good time. I had a PlayStation 4, then I got the Pro. I don't have a TV that matters. Like my TV isn't 4K or anything, so like it doesn't matter what I really have. I love the way it looks. I don't care. It's got amazing games. I'm all for it. I will play the 4 until it dies, which will be in 5 more years. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna run for a while. Even when the P5 hits, they'll still be just like right now. I got Persona 3 on the PlayStation 3 as well. So you know what I mean? Like, or Persona 5. I'm sorry, Persona 5 on the PlayStation 3 as well. They keep supporting their systems. I don't have a problem with it at all. I like that 5 to 7 year lifespan. Call me crazy, you know.
That is one good thing I would like to say about Sony. They always support their systems for at least a few years, whereas Nintendo, Wii U dropped that motherfucker like a hot potato. The Wii, they dropped that motherfucker like a hot potato. GameCube and 64, there's always a year gap between each.
Uh-oh. Something happened. I don't know what happened. Somebody donated. Smash JT donated $2 to the Captain Retro podcast. Thanks, Smash. What's up, buddy? I forgot I had that thing kicked on. That scared the hell out of me when it started playing. Like, what did I push? I'm sorry, Dad. We totally jumped over you there.
Oh, you're good. But what I was saying is like with, all these systems, it's just, I don't know. Like I want the PS5, but at the same time, I got the Pro on, when did Destiny 2 come out? September 6th of 17. So it's been like, what, 6-7 months since I've had the Pro. I mean, I don't really feel like I've gotten my value out of it yet. I would like to at least get 2 or 3 years out of that thing, and then I would feel like it's okay for PS5 to come out.
Again, I have no problem with that. I like the fact that technology gets smarter, faster, and cheaper. I'm a big fan of Moore's Law.
I'm not saying I have to. Like, if they announce PS5 this year, which I already predicted that on my channel that they're going to, and I kind of firmly stick by it. I really genuinely think they will at least acknowledge it, if not announce that it'll be getting announced at Tokyo Game Show or something.
Right.
I really firmly do believe that.
My personal guess is 2020 when it hits. You know what I mean? Like another full year.
Either late 2019 or early 2020. I think they might try to pull a Nintendo and copy their spring launch, because as they saw that it was more successful than your traditional winter launch.
Very true. Sony knows what they're doing. I'm not.
Oh, agreed.
I have no problem with Sony. Honestly, I thought Xbox knew what they were doing until the Xbox One. So you know what I mean? Like Xbox 360 was my favorite of that generation.
Well, so with the Xbox One, they basically pulled a Sony, whereas PS1 did fantastic, PS2 did even better. Sony was riding high on that horse, and then they were like, oh, well, we can just launch this motherfucker at $600, no problem. Then they got caught with their pants down. 360 did pretty well. Xbox was like, all right, we the king. And then they're just like, all right, we're going to give you this thing with this Kinect, going to make you not be able to trade your games in. It's all digital, and you're just going to have to be okay with it.
Uncle Strange, it came out shortly after The Last of Us 2. Or what? Hold on. That hasn't come out yet. What? I don't know what he's talking about. My bad. I'll stop reading that comment.
I think he means that the system will come out shortly after The Last of Us 2.
Shortly after that launches. Okay.
So I would be so you know how like Nintendo typically does, like they did it with Breath of the Wild and Twilight Princess, where it was like a cross-gen thing. I bet you they'll do that with Last of Us 2. That's kind of my thinking.
Okay. Or Red Dead Redemption 2 maybe in that time frame too, because it's getting pushed. Don't think it's coming out this year. It'll be March of next year at the earliest before that game comes.
Because I mean, we haven't really seen much from it, so you're probably right.
And with Nintendo, on the Nintendo side, yeah, they killed the Wii U. I mean, but they're also sucking every bit of life out of the Wii U they can by making every game that's worth a shit on that machine over to the Switch, and that kind of upsets me. Like, ooh, it's the Ultimate Game of the Year edition. We got this and that, and we got Dark Souls demastered, and like, oh, yeah, no one wants to play that. And if you do, you're lying. Go get a PlayStation 3 and play the first one. You know what I mean? Or wait for the PS4 remaster to actually be remastered.
So I never actually played them. I have Bloodborne. And I did I mean, I'm going for a complete amiibo set, so I had to get the amiibo, of course. So now I kind of want to get the game for the Switch. And I've never played it, so I feel like it's kind of a justified purchase at this point.
Right. But
other
on the
than that,
Switch, though, I mean, it's just not. I can't understand how they consider that like it's not powerful enough, is it? Am I wrong? Am I a liar?
well, I mean, even if it runs at 360 level, it's still. I mean, the Switch is more powerful than 360, right? So like, even if it runs at that level,
Is it?
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, everything that's out on it is indie 2D games, so I don't know. I can't tell. You know what I mean? Like I just don't know the specs of stuff. But
You hating on the Switch, my man?
I'm hating on the hype of the Switch. It's way overhyped.
I'm not gonna. Oh, I'm not gonna go onto the hype train with it. But I mean, I think the quality of the stuff that Nintendo is putting out, I mean, as always, is top notch. So like, Fire Emblem Warriors, like, I mean, for the amount of characters that are fitting on that screen at one time. Now, I don't know if that's developed by who makes that. Is that Koei? Yeah, I think that's Koei that makes that. I don't know. I don't know if Nintendo made that or if Koei made it with Nintendo's permission or how that worked. But I mean, that game runs flawlessly. Well, not flawlessly, but it runs pretty well on the Switch.
Well, I mean, Doom's on there. I haven't.
Agreed, and that looks like a turd.
I haven't played it, and it doesn't look like it.
Looks like a turd.
It doesn't look like it made the transition very well. Is all I'm saying.
No, it really. I mean, it's impressive nonetheless that they got it to run, but it looks like it looks terrible.
And then this whole cloud gaming thing that they're talking about, like that's bullshit. You don't own the game. It's on. You got to have the internet to play it. Then why do I need a portable console? That makes no sense to me. Like, what are y'all doing?
Well, I don't want to call out names on it, but we all know who I'm talking about. So, the bigger cats that made videos on that, how they were all basically getting all gripey that it's not a connection 9,000 it's supposed to be on running. Of course, it's not going to run
Well, we're losing that.
properly on your set. The servers are in Japan, not here in America.
Yeah, we lost some of what you were saying there. I don't know if it's my internet or whatnot, but a little bit of you were clipping out just then. It's all right. Smash is saying the industry is working towards all digital streaming. Once faster ISPs show up, downloads and physicals will be dinosaurs. Unfortunately, Netflix paved the successful business path of the future. Yeah, I can see that being true. And again, they've been working towards download-only games for a while now. But I still refuse. I take that back. I downloaded that Bloodstain game last night for $10 on the Switch, and we'll definitely play that. But that's the kind of console I want to play that on. It's a Nintendo 2D platformer. So
right, I'm not gonna lie. Like I was heavily debating on dipping on that, even though it's not physical. I really want to play that game.
Right.
So.
Well, and Xbox is kind of playing around with that now with this Game Pass thing, and it took me so long to wrap my head around that it actually existed. I mean, and honestly, and DGC, you had it too, but we've both since dipped on that thing.
Oh yeah, I got the free trial, and I was no.
But to a person that's just getting the system and doesn't have a wall of stuff behind them, I mean, it's pretty neat. I mean, there's more games on there than you're going to have time to play, and it's very Netflix-ish. It's $10 a freaking month, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great, though, because supposedly they're going to get Tomb Raider on it for 10. I mean, I got to be honest. I want to own a physical copy of the new Tomb Raider, but at the same time, if I could play it the day it comes out for $10 and then get it used 5 years later for $10, I'm cool with that.
Right. I like the EA. EA started that kind of thing over there, I believe, on the Xbox. It might be on
EA Access. Yeah.
I have that, and I like playing certain games, but I don't want to pay full price for them. So that's nice to have old Madden and stuff like that available to play. I love Need for Speed games. I'm a huge racing game fan, so that thing's pretty cool. In fact, last night at like 3 a.m, my subscription renewed to that for the year or whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, I hope I got enough money in the bank. I did, thank God. But we got some cool ass Robert Paynes in the house. We got Brandon Freezing Factor. What's up, Brando? Let's see, Uncle Strange.
What's going on?
LC Shadow. What's up, everybody? So, Mur, what else you got? We got some more topics.
Well, before we get off of that completely,
okay.
My initial biggest question was, what is a PS5 going to do for us? I mean, and the reason I'm arguing about the whole, and I'm not saying it can't go every 5 years, but that's certainly not written law. At some point, we got to hit a wall in this technology, or it can keep speeding up. I just don't think we can be bold enough to really predict which. And at the point that we've already got these 4K systems that are, rocking out, but yet alongside, we still know that PCs are always going to be more powerful. How much more can they put into this thing, and what else do you need this thing to do? And I'm asking, I'm not telling. There's all kind of people speculating that they know specs on this thing, leaks and all that. I'm so tired of the word leak.
Yeah, nah.
To blow my own head off. But I mean, what do we need it to? Why are we in such a hurry? Is this just the companies playing which ones is longer? Showing each other. I mean, what are we doing here? Is this a test of strength?
Well, Nintendo.
I'm not ready for everything to change to PS5 in here. I'm just not.
Well, so the rumored leak was that it had like 32 gigabytes of video memory. Get the fuck out of here! Do you know how expensive that would be?
No, I don't, because I'm not a computer guy.
That's why I brought you in here.
It would be a retarded amount of money on Sony's end. It would be another PlayStation 3 all over again.
Losing money to sell it at a...
Oh my God, they would be losing money left and right. I mean, memory finally just now... So, remember when the Fukushima earthquake and all that bullshit happened? Computer prices, like hard drives and memory chips and all that shit, all that's made in Japan for the most part. And they skyrocketed because there was less being made, because there was less factories making them. So obviously supply and demand. They're just now, I mean, they've been going down for a while now, but like, and then like, you got to remember like video graphics cards for computers and stuff, they now use like 8 to 12 gigabytes per GPU. And then GPU mining was so huge for a while. All these things affect the prices of memory. And then you got cell phones having more and more RAM in it too. It's all the same RAM. Doesn't matter if it's in a computer, a video card, a phone, or a console. It's all the same shit. It's only made by, I think, Samsung, Hynix, and I think Toshiba makes some too. There's really only like 3 or 4 companies that make RAM, and it's just like, there's no way it's going to have that much RAM in the console.
Is it along the same lines of like, I know that video processor, or I think it's video processing cards or whatever for computers have skyrocketed in price because of all the people mining Bitcoin and stuff. Like,
well, they finally I just started to check now because I'm rocking a GTX 780 Ti, which was the top of the line card back in like 14 or 15 when I bought it, and I've waited this long because they were just so damn expensive. But they've finally gone back down to MSRP.
Okay. After
like 2 or 3 years.
But I know that I know the Bitcoin mining was driving the prices on some of that stuff, and like I was thinking about buying a PC, and I was like, if I bought a brand new one, it's going to be super expensive. So,
people were actually going to Best Buy and buying gaming consoles at Best Buy, stripping out the graphics card because it was cheaper to do it that way, and then flipping the rest of the parts.
That's crazy.
It is.
That is.
Crazy town, crazy times we live in, you guys. Again, I'm not technically savvy per se. I see something and I'm like, ooh, bright lights and pretty pictures. Let me have it. But I don't know.
That's me too. That's why I want a DGC here tonight, because he's kind of an under the hood kind of guy, more so than I am. So, I like to hear.
I mean, I've always loved knowing the specs and what makes, technology work. I just love learning about all that stuff.
I knew that the Sega had 8 mega power for some of the games on the Genesis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A 4 mega cartridge.
Speaking of, I won an auction today on eBay. The first thing I've bought on eBay in quite some time. It's Uncharted Waters complete in the box. I got it for $86. That's a fucking steal, number one. And number two, it says something about 4 megabit power on the front of it too, and it made me laugh. And I was like, oh, look how many megabits. 4.
That's funny.
Well, moving right along, I want to talk a little bit about some of the fake Switch hype out there, and by that I mean
Switch Lords.
Switch Lords, man. Now let's get to the point.
Are you guys dubbing that term?
We've coined
Switch
that.
Lords, yeah. If you're doing it, you're a Switch Lord.
This
is what I mean.
We've been saying that for a while.
Not every person doing this is a Switch Lord. Let me define Switch Lord. You're all about the Switch. You only want to talk about the Switch. Switch, and that's fine, unless you are not really this big Nintendo fan that you're claiming to be, and you just buy Zelda hats at Hot Topic and try to come off like you are. Let's see where we're going with this. I think we all know that the Wii U failed. What was it? They sold less units than the Atari 7800?
Yep. It didn't fail right here for me, baby.
No,
it didn't fail.
No,
I bought it day one, still love it.
I'm a huge supporter of the Wii U. That's how I played Breath of the Wild.
I am less than
my point is
the full set.
Nice.
My point is that all these people that claim to be these diehard Nintendo fans, somebody's lying. Somebody's lying, because if all of you people are fans, then the Wii U didn't fail. Where were you on day one? Where were you on week 1? Where were you on month 10? Why did the Wii U, and I know marketing, whatever. If you're a fan, you don't need marketing. Look at these people. Look at them today, man. There was a leak about a leak. There was just this leak from this leak, and now there's a leak about the leak. Don't tell me you need marketing. These people they got their finger on the pulse. They're digging. They're getting dirt on every daggum thing. So again, that's my question. Who's lying? Who's not the real fan? Because there's too many Switch lords out there. YouTube is covered up with it. I'm not trying to get on to anybody that does Switch videos. Hell, I've done them, and they're cool, and I'm glad people do them. I'm asking who's lying. Who's not as big of a Nintendo fan as they're saying they are? Somebody's lying, or the Wii U numbers are not what they were. That's what I'm throwing out there. Go.
Well, I think a lot of it also has. Okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate on both sides of what you're saying here. On the one hand, I sold a Sega Saturn recently, and I met the kid at my local mall, and we ended up becoming friends, and we've actually gone out game hunting twice now, so that's cool. And then we start talking about the Wii U. Did fucking clue what it was, and he's got 300 or 400 games in his collection. Literally didn't know it existed. So on that hand, fairly big gamer if you got 300 or 400 games. But I mean, he had no idea what the Wii U was. Period.
That's just shitty marketing on Nintendo's part, to be honest. I mean,
agreed.
That's what that is.
Agreed. I mean, I think I can remember all of 3 or 4 commercials for the Wii U.
Right.
And all of them were terribly designed for children.
And I thought it was, honest to God, for the first 6 months it was out, thought that it was just a new controller pad for the Wii. That's all. And I was like, oh, it's a portable TV controller pad. That's kind of cool. I don't need that for my Wii. You know, and then I was like, oh, I'm wrong. It's a whole new system, apparently, and it's got some great games on it. Let's go hoard. So I've got a hoarded collection of Wii U sitting up here behind me, and I all the games on it that I have played so far, I have thoroughly enjoyed that were, you know, first-party games.
I mean, there's probably a good 30 to 40, maybe 45 titles, excluding the shit that got ported to the Switch, which I'm not supporting myself, that are just absolutely phenomenal games. And at the time, Xbox One was running most of their shit at 720p and 900p. All those Wii U first-party titles were running at 1080p every time, with a solid rate too. So like, I didn't even think we needed to get rid of the Wii U that quick myself. I would have been happy with it for another 3 years.
Did I post?
They could have wrote it out.
Right. Hey, why did they have to kill it so fast? That's
I think they should have stuck it out. Honestly, I mean, 13 million wasn't a lot, but you had people like us who were still supporting you. Like I bought almost every game on day one. Whether it was, I mean, if it was Barbie, I didn't buy that. But, you know, if it was like Splinter Cell or Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed or Injustice, I was buying all that shit day one.
I would like to go on record saying I bought Hello Kitty Cruisers day one.
Really?
I think he's lying.
But I didn't buy it day one.
Made a killing on that. But yeah, that we may be onto something there, because Captain, if you didn't know for the first 6 months what it was, I mean, you've never not been in the game. But at the same time, I gotta ask, it's just so crazy because the scalpers knew. I'm gonna tell you what they knew. You know, my buddies at GameStop, they're telling me there's people bringing in truckloads of these things trying to return them. You know, the white 8 gig consoles that then no one ended up wanting, and they couldn't return them because they didn't have receipts. They bought at all these different stores, but they knew. You know, they knew what it was. And then there was a need for it. I mean, in the news, there were thefts going on. There were Wii U's getting stolen. Somebody knew. So I'm just trying to figure out where the ball was dropped exactly to where you've got these core gamers like you're doing that didn't know, but you got these people over here that'll never play a game in their life. They're there day one to get it. I got mine day one. It's hard to tell where the confusion came in. And, you know, how this ties into my original topic is like, do I have a right to even say that if somebody wasn't there for that system at any point, that they're not a hardcore Nintendo fan? At some point, you had to get a Wii U, didn't you?
Well, again, I will say that I knew it existed. I just thought that it was a peripheral. I thought it was an add-on for the Wii. I did not know it was its own console because of the marketing. And I had gone in GameStop, and I see games with blue labels, and I'm thinking, that's just they've added this U to it because it can work with that pad. That's what I thought. You know what I mean? I did not.
Oh, like the U draw.
Right. I did not know. I had a U draw on the Xbox 360, and I was thinking maybe this is something about that. And especially when it came out, I was much more hyped on the 360, and the Xbox One was out, and I was doing that, and then the Xbox One really started to piss me off, and like connectivity's terrible. You can't keep a group together. You can't find your party. Everybody's getting kicked out of the game all the time. I only bought that to play FIFA and Battlefield with my brother. He's an Xbox guy, and that's all he had, so I bought that so I could play with him. And I use it more for watching Netflix and television than I do any video gaming, which is sad because it costs so much. But the P4 I bought specifically because baseball, Major League Baseball, the show is on PlayStation, and there is no baseball on Xbox other than RBI and, you know, the kiddie ones or the not so in-depth ones. And the minute I got that P4, I was like, this thing is pimp as shit, and I've gone crazy with buying games for it. So
I mean, I would say this gen that PlayStation 4 has been, and this is coming from a diehard Nintendo fanboy, admittedly. I love my PlayStation 4, man. It quickly became one of my favorite systems of all time. I mean, just there's so many genres on the console, and just I don't know, just everything about it. It's just like Sony's firing on all cylinders. They're running a V16 under the hood right now.
yeah.
No doubt about that.
I mean, like, I loved the Wii U, but I mean, it was so hit or miss. Like, every 3 or 4 months, you would get an awesome game, or sometimes it was 6 months in between first party titles, and then you would get, you know, just like junk, really, and shovelware filler and indies and stuff. But I mean, you know, I don't know.
Well, you know, and maybe I'm out of line even making the claim, but the thought occurred to me not too long ago. I looked at those sales numbers, and I looked at what the Switch is doing now, and I look at how many people is, oh man, I'm Nintendo for life, and Nintendo's so crazy, and it's like, then how did this fail that dadgum abysmally? That's all I was saying.
Right.
Somebody's lying. Somebody's lying about how big of a Nintendo fan they are. I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't miss the Wii U. And if you missed it the first week, the first month, the first 6 months, the first year, eventually you did. Just like, oh, cool, I got to have that, right? Because I'm a Nintendo fan.
Right.
And that's what I'm getting at, is who's lying. Someone's got to come out and say, okay, I bought the Switch. I got a Zelda shirt at Hot Topic 2 days ago. I'm really not that big of a Nintendo fan. And, you know, you can be one now. It's just people try to act like it's like swimming in their blood. And it's like, then you would think that Nintendo's Teflon, that anything they make would have to have some degree of success. And at this point, we look at the dadgum Wii U, and it's just like, it's heartbreaking. It really is, because my family had so much fun with that system.
Oh, yeah.
All of us, everyone in the house. And I thought the Switch was going to do that too. Now, this is my personal testimony. That thing's got dust on it. Nobody is playing it. And you're going to ask, why? Why wouldn't you be playing it? Because every damn game's already out on the other freaking systems. You can go buy them in a bargain bin for $20 damn. I've already had them. I don't need to get them.
And those are superior versions, too.
Yes, superior versions.
And, you know, the first party stuff, great, but what are we talking about? Odyssey, you're done with it. Breath of the Wild, you're done with it. And the rest is indie diarrhea. That is just whatever, man. I know there's some other good ones, but it's just not getting the attention. And I'm not trying to bash on the Switch either, and believe me, I could if I wanted to. I think it's neat. Everything about it is Nintendo-y neat. Right. I really think that it is. But I'm also afraid that the caliber of games people truly want for this thing need more time to develop than this system's even got in its lifespan. Because you know what it takes to make great games. 5 to 7 years in some cases, and it isn't fair to expect.
I mean, look at God of War. That was 5 years of development.
Exactly. Prime example. That, Witcher 3.
But it is literally a masterpiece.
Yeah.
All right, but I gotta ask you guys a serious question. Would you guys have rather had the Switch just be Nintendo super duper instead of being a hybrid, just being an actual? Because for me, I would have rather had a real console. That's just me.
With actual big carts too, not these little bitty chips. When they said cartridges were coming out I was so hyped, and I was like, yeah, they're gonna have cartridges again, and it's like a fucking little 5 gig.
Right. So for me, I would have much rather had, like, let's say 6 gigs of RAM, a 1 terabyte hard drive, and like a GTX 760 under the hood. Nothing super expensive at this point in time, but it would have ran all those other gen games pretty damn well. And Nvidia's clearly in it in the long haul with Nintendo to, you know, supposedly they have a 10 to 30 year partnership lined up. So clearly Nvidia's in it for the long haul. They're not losing any money on the PC front. They can literally just throw money away at this point in time. They make so much money on PC graphics cards. So,
well, you know, Nintendo was printing money with the Wii. When the Wii hit, they were printing money hand over foot, and I think they kind of lost.
Basically just the GameCube, so that it wasn't even like upgraded tech.
Right. and it was, you know, they had a huge winner on their hands with that thing, and then they shovelwared the shit out of it, like Shadow is saying in the comments. That thing has got chunks and chunks, wheelbarrows full of shovelware, and they didn't. I think they kind of held on to their cash cow for a little too long with that, and that's what the Wii U was. The Wii U was like a stopgap between the Switch, and you know what I mean. Like it was kind of a thing that they put it out, and they knew that the Switch was coming, and they really didn't market it and didn't care too much to market it. They were just like, we can maybe make some more money because it says Wii on it.
Right. I was literally just talking to my friend Jiggly about this the other day, and we had this exact same conversation. I think that they pretty much did it. It was kind of like a Virtual Boy. I think they did it in the sense that they needed to get something out there to just not have nothing out there, right? The Wii was done at that point. Nobody wanted to make anything for it anymore. Motion controls are dead. We're all done with it. I didn't really enjoy them. I think they did it as a stopgap in the sense that it was kind of to test the market to see if people would like doing this, at least in the household, because they couldn't afford to make it the actual Switch, right? And then they finally were able to afford it. And then, I mean, it still has the motion controls that you're taking off. It's still portable, but then it's still docket. So, I mean, it was a predecessor in the sense, but at the same time, they did it at a cheap level, and it was also just to give them some income. As far as all the ports coming over, I'm not necessarily going to buy them. I mean, if I get them for $20, sure, but I'm not going to pay full price for them myself. But, you know, it kind of bothers me, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't. Like, people missed out on those because they weren't true Nintendo fans, so, like Mur was saying, and didn't buy the Wii U. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it just sucks. I think they should have been budget titles.
Again, when I was 6 months behind the game on the Wii U, and I liked it so much, I got a fucking kiosk. So, you know what I mean? Like, I love that machine, and I was like, when they said the Switch was killing it, that really broke my heart. I was like, oh man, I'd only had it for like a year at that point, and I was like, what?
Well, you have an Amiibo kiosk too, don't you?
I do not have the Amiibo kiosk. No, I don't. The Amiibos aren't my thing. I'm not a huge Amiibo guy.
I know, but if you ever find one, I'm like 7 away from the full set, so I would love that if you ever found.
Okay, one. I can find you one easy. I find stuff all day long. That's what I do. The captain, he goes hunting.
To answer your question, though, I think I would have been happier with a full console because, you know, honestly, when we first saw the Switch at the reveal, it was just like oh my God, what am I looking at?
Like,
you know?
literally, I didn't know if I was excited or not. I really didn't. I was like, do I like this? Do I want to, as a Nintendo fanboy, pretend that I like it? Or do I actually secretly like it? And I got to be honest, like, it's cool, but it's really not what I wanted. It's really not. I'm just going to say it. It's not what I wanted.
It's cool, but, you know, I tried to force myself to use it the way that everybody thinks it should be used. I don't use the Joy-Cons. I use the Pro Controller. I know you're a big fan of the Pro Controller. I took it to Disney World. I might have played on it 15 minutes. Just didn't get time. When I'm out and about, I'm on business. I'm on the official Emceemur business. I don't have time to be immersed in a freaking RPG. I wish I could.
Sure.
You know, and it's, you know, my 3DS I could stick in my pocket, and even that I didn't play places, you know, all the time, but the whole, you know, getting the Mii's in there and the freaking swap, or what is it, Street Pass, all that, we had fun with that.
All that stuff was awesome.
When I bought Breath of the Wild, I bought all the Amiibos that go with the Breath of the Wild because I'm a Zelda freak, but other than that, like, Amiibos are not my thing. I don't have them, and I didn't.
The only real reason I like them is because I guess when did Melee come out? 02 or 01? Something like that. So I would have been 11 or 12 when that came out, right? So I remember playing that game to death and then collecting all the trophies and stuff, and like,
they remind me of the trophies.
They're literally the trophies, right? So like, I had to have them all because I was like, man, I did this as a kid. Like, now I can really have them. So I had to do it.
But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. It's just everything that it can do and that you're paying for it to do, I don't need it to do. I play it on a Pro Controller like any normal freaking console, as a console right here in this room, and I've enjoyed what I've done on it so far very much because I love first-party Nintendo. That's never going to change. But it's an odd duck. It sure is. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't think otherwise. It's an odd duck for sure.
Well, and again, it's very Nintendo-y. They love to they push the envelope, they innovate, they're crazy controllers, crazy control schemes. You know, I love that about Nintendo. They're always ready to change the game. You know what I mean? They try and change the game, but again, we also have to remember that Nintendo is generally and pretty much totally marketed for children. We are 40-year-old men pissing and moaning about a portable console at the moment. You know what I mean? Like there's the PlayStation 4 was made for us. The you know what I mean? Like it was made for 25 and up.
That is one cool thing about Sony. Like each generation, their exclusives kind of like are, how can I say it? So like with The Last of Us, you're like walking around with your daughter, so to speak, and then God of War, you're like walking around with your son or whatever. So it's like they kind of, each generation kind of grew up with you, so to speak.
Yeah. And I was a PlayStation 1 supporter. That was my first CD based console, the PS1, I think. Yeah, it definitely was. I got a GameCube later on, but it was PS1 first. That was college. Crash Bandicoot was incredible to me back then. Lara Croft, I missed a midterm because of Tomb Raider. I had to go like retake a midterm because I was late to it because I was playing Tomb Raider. And yeah, like I loved that console, but I'll say this, the gameplay on most of the good games in there still holds up, but it's so hard to look at the polygons now. The 64 era, the PS1 era, it's kind of hard to look at those games and be like, that game looks kick-ass, and no, it really doesn't.
So guys, do you guys game on CRTs with your retro stuff or on HD TVs?
I have each. I have a Nintendo when I sit down to play Nintendo, I play my Sharp NES TV.
You lucky bastard.
Luck has nothing to do with it.
So I actually just got a free Sony Trinitron, and that has component hookups on it. And then I bought some HD Retrovision cables for my Super Nintendo. Oh my God, does it look amazing?
Yeah,
I bet.
PS1 and PS2 on the component cables on a Trinitron. It looks fantastic. It really does. I mean, it makes those games look like they were
intended to look like
how they envisioned them way back in the day.
Right. Well, that's what the NES TV is, a straight RGB. Yeah, line in there.
Yeah, that thing's sweet. Those are super rare.
Yeah,
I still have my CRT TV, but I don't have anywhere to put it in here at the moment because it's a big old dude. I'm actually building an 80s only playroom out in our garage. Once I get everything cleaned out of there, nothing made after 1989 will be allowed in the room, and it's going to be just really ancient.
That'll be cool.
But I am playing on HD TVs in here because that's just what I'm running on everything else.
I mean, like, I have a FrameMeister, and it's badass. Like, hooking up RGB SCART to it and playing it on 1080p, it looks amazing. But, I mean, there's just something cool about turning on the CRT and...
Ooh, the warmness, yeah.
And then you, like, feel the static coming off of it.
It's living. Yeah. That's a living picture.
The scan lines and just being able to play light gun games. I mean, it's just... I don't know. It's just something that's... I've kind of been jumping into retro lately, so...
Retro's where it's at.
More retro than I normally do.
CaptNRetro is where it's at. Just know that.
So let's talk about this for a minute, if I may be so bold as to shift gears. Moving into some other hype, some of which I would say is probably largely fake. All the freaking Neo Geo hype surrounding this new little SNK plug and play, the Neo Geo Mini or whatever they're going to end up calling it. And don't get me wrong, that's all well and good if they want to do that. But everybody acted like it was the second coming of Christ when it got announced. And help me out on this. Help me out. I just don't care that much. There's some SNK games that I like, but here's the thing. If you were a gamer back when we were, way back then, man, you didn't have no Neo Geo unless you were some daggone millionaire, man. Them things were 700 big ones. I remember seeing the ads and thinking, nobody I know even is ever going to have
ads
them to even touch it.
Some of those magazines ads were pretty sweet.
Let me do some math while y'all talk.
You know, we rented Neo Geos too from, a place called the House of Video Games downtown. There's a couple of Japanese guys that had all the cool import stuff, and they were really cool guys. They rented everything they had. But nobody that I knew actually owned a Neo Geo.
Okay, 700.
I didn't own a Neo Geo. And I'm suggesting that no one's really that nostalgic for a Neo Geo as they're acting like they are. Calm down. You're not... I get tired of videos on YouTube that are just not genuine. You're not that excited about a freaking Neo Geo. Oh, well, Metal Slug. don't pull Metal Slug out of your butt. Give me one other game that's not Baseball Stars. I mean, people are just like, give me a break, dude. You're not that freaking stoked about it.
Yeah.
The freaking one that they did at GameStop, that Neo Geo Gold thing, the X, whatever. Nobody even wanted that till much later when it became an eBay commodity.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wanted the Neo Geo X, and then I slept on it for a while, and now it's expensive as shit, and I'm never gonna have it.
That's exactly what I did. I almost
was
did
like,
it.
I'll wait till this is
not
cheap.
gonna play it.
And then, like the cool / shitty thing about it was it didn't just have all the games on it. You had to buy them. You know, there was like 20 built-in ones, and you had to buy
other carts,
amounts.
right? And it was the first Switch though. It was the first. It's portable, and you can plug it up to your TV thing. Like it was like, well, the first Switch technically. Let's not kid ourselves. Was the Sega Nomad,
Yeah.
but in an even better form because it's a full size cartridge.
Right.
But yeah, I had the X. I played it for about 3 weeks, and I was like, there's 3 games I really care about playing on here, and I'm done. If I want Neo Geo, I'll buy me a fucking 6-slot AVS fucking super, cabinet, and I'll put it in my arcade out there in the garage.
Well, again, you're not nostalgic for any of that stuff because
I didn't have it because
at your house.
Because $700
in the arcade.
$700 in 1988 was $1,495.38 today. So
I would never play that for a video console. Never.
That's incredible.
Nobody had one of those.
No.
Nobody.
We rented one. Now, Bruckner and I and Holloway, there was a little Korean rental store up there off 78 near Stone Mountain that we used to go to that had all the cool manga and the cool anime stuff, and like you could watch Guyver and stuff like that, like rent Guyver from there. You couldn't rent Guyver at the Blockbuster until later on, but I loved Guyver when I was a kid. The Guyver, I thought those were the coolest things. And we would go up there, and they had a Neo Geo one day, and we were like, oh my God. And it was like $50 to rent it for the weekend. Like, let's not kid ourselves. That was a lot of money too. So it was like all 3 of us had to pitch in to rent this machine, and the cartridges were huge and it looked cool, but like nobody had it. And we played it one weekend, and that was the one time we got our hands on it as a kid. You know what I mean? So I have nostalgia for that night. I don't have nostalgia for that machine.
Well, and we used to rent the Turbo Duos from there, and I got much more into that being, because Turbo Graphics was a thing. Briefly there before Super Nintendo immediately reared its head, we had a little bit of a standoff between Turbo Graphics and Genesis for a second. And there were people that had those. There were people at that point that tried to tell me that Turbo Graphics was better than the Genesis, and boy, had I made the wrong decision. But because of that, because people had them, we did play Turbo Graphics. I could go to a friend's house and play that. We rented Turbo Duos that had games and lineages and stuff that I actually cared about. And I'm not trying to dog the Neo Geo, so don't take it that way. I'm just saying everybody that's actually like, oh my God, the Neo Geo. No, you didn't know. Stop. You didn't have one. You don't care that much about it.
I think a lot of that is just to get views on channels too.
And that's it. And it's like, hey, we all want views. Be real with me.
That's going back to our Switch Lord comment, is you're looking up what the hot topic of the day is, and you're making a video. And, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But it must be sad to know that you're making stuff that you really don't want to make. You're making stuff based on a fucking algorithm. And that's sad. My channel will never be that. And I'll never be popular. That's fine by me. Fuck you people.
Well, all right. So for the main games that were on the Neo that people actually like and want to have, you have the Metal Slug, and you also have the Samurai Showdown anthology on PS2 and Wii, and I guess that's really it. But I mean, and both those are not even that expensive. They're both like $20 or maybe 30 at the most, and you get all of them. So I mean,
yeah, I like it. If I can find one of those little arcade things cheap, eventually I might pick one up. But that's about as far as I'm not jonesing for one, and I don't know why people are.
The rumor is that they're going to be $150. I mean, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a mini thing, but like $150, and the screen is rumored to be like 2.7 inches. That's like an SP screen.
That's pathetic.
I don't want that.
No.
Is it a real CRT?
No, I doubt that. I mean, no, it's not, because you can't even make those anymore. Well, you can, but it's like nobody makes them anymore because it's so expensive and complicated to make them now.
Right.
Now, what I was interested in is the SNK 40th anniversary collection or whatever, that they're doing for the Switch. Going to be getting that because we're talking Crystallis, we're talking Akari Warriors, we're talking POW arcade mode. Now, those are games I played, but
I've got a POW arcade.
I love them.
I've got a POW arcade out in the garage right now.
You sure do, you bastard.
I'm a dick.
Well, I mean, I could drive over there and play it right now.
You're welcome to. Please
But
come
it's
up.
just one of those things, man. It's like, again, I'm not dogging SNK either. There was things they did that I liked, but there was just as much they did that, I never cared about. What
King of
Samurai
Fighters,
Showdown,
Art of
Fatal
Fighting.
Fury, King of Fighters, all this other stuff that it was in the arcade, but you'd walk right past that and go play Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat.
Darkstalkers.
They never did anything for me.
Was Darkstalkers? That's Neo Geo, right? That was SNK.
No.
Who makes Darkstalkers?
Darkstalkers was
Capcom.
Capcom, but it's on Saturn.
But I used to see him in I think I used to see him in
in
Neo Geo machines in the arcade. Like it would be part of that. It would
they
be.
might have licensed it to Neo.
It would be on that multicade. You know what I mean? It'd be like 4 or 5 games, and Darkstalkers was on there. And I like to play that. I liked the Morgana. I think is her name. The one with the bad ears.
Yeah.
And those games were fun, but again, they're basically subpar Mortal Kombats. They look a little better, but they don't play as well. And
I would agree. I mean, Mortal Kombat is, to me, one of the best fighters. But
to tie Darkstalkers into this, same idea. It's a fighter, and it's just not the fighter. All those games that Neo Geo had just looked so generic, like the Ingalls brand or the Great Value brand of those certain games genres. So there wasn't anything wrong with it. There just wasn't anything really that special about it. I still can't even I can't wrap my head around why it was even that expensive. Because although
because it was
one,
arcade perfect.
That kind of money, it didn't hurt my feelings or anything. I was happy with my Sega.
It was because it was arcade perfect. It was the first. It was full on. 32-bit gaming, 32-bit, and
there's 24-bit. But the only reason that it's arcade perfect is because they were making the version in the arcade at home. So
right.
Of course it's going to be perfect because they're making both of them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Again, I got the appeal of it as a kid. I thought that'd be kind of cool to have arcade perfect game in the house, but like I'm not gonna ask my parents to pay $1,500 for a fucking video game machine. They'd slap me. They might.
Right.
They would rather buy me an arcade. Yeah. They would rather buy me an arcade for $1,500 than they would buy a home console for $1,500. And each game is a couple $100 or whatever they were too. Each game was at least $100, right? Like it's got to be at the time brand new. And no offense to anyone who likes the Neo Geo or SNK stuff, but it's always been
Absolutely.
subpar.
No offense to me. Tell me what I missed, but I looked directly at that stuff and it didn't grab me.
Right. Back in the 90s, like things like Earthbound and stuff, and some of those bigger in like Final Fantasy 2 and 3, those were like $90 back in the day, correct?
Easily.
I believe that was correct.
So, whereas typically most games were like 50 to 60 normally, right? But like the bigger, expensive cart, like meaning that it had chips in it, was more expensive and stuff. But like, and those were just like not powerful Super Nintendo games compared to the Neo Geo games. So I'd be willing to bet those were probably MSRP was probably like $200, right? I mean, those were big ass cartridges.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they had to be $100 a game or $200 a game to buy a game for it. Sure. And again, just to rent the stupid console was $50 for a weekend. You know what I mean? Like that was incredibly insane money to do anything as a kid.
So I mean, like the three of us probably got like what 4 to 5 games lucky when you were a kid. If you somehow managed to get a Neo Geo, you were getting 1 game a year probably.
Yeah, I had brothers and I have a brother and sister, so they were all into gaming. My brother's 2 years older than me. My sister's 18 months behind me. We were all into video gaming, so we had a lot of shit as kids. We were very well off for we were upper middle class family, and my parents doted on us and spoiled the shit out of us. So it wasn't like I couldn't have asked for it. But I don't think I would have got it. You know what I mean? It's one of those being that expensive. There'd have been no way. Same thing with like the CDI when it hit. The CDI or the 3DO were.
But would you have wanted those? Would you have been happy with those, knowing now what their libraries are?
I actually like the 3DO. I'm a fan of the 3DO. There's some good games on there, and I like full motion video. I've always liked FMV games and point and clicks, so that was very close to my heart. The first PC we got was I want to say in '92, and it was like a 480, a 480 processor type thing, and I played the shit out of the seventh guest. Like I love that game with all my heart, and it was on the 3DO. You know what I mean? Like I wanted that. I was like, oh, that game's on there, and not like I need it because I already got it on the computer, but like it was something I wanted definitely. But I think that thing came out at a $400 or $500 price point at the time, and that was just beyond Nintendo's $99.99 for You know, you get a game and a gun and comes with 2 cartridges and like, you know, my parents were all about buying us Nintendo shit compared to that stuff. You know what I mean?
I feel like everybody kind of grew up Nintendo kids, at least in my area. Like, I didn't really have any friends that weren't Nintendo kids.
I had, well, Mur was a Genesis kid. Mur's a Sega kid. So.
But you got to also remember, you guys are also a decade older than I am.
Right.
But, you know, even in our day, it wasn't uncommon. If I went to somebody's house, it was an NES. I was the only kid on the block in the city, it seemed like, that had a Master System. And I'm so glad I had that experience. Don't get me wrong. So glad.
I think you might be the first person I've ever met that grew up with one.
Yeah, that was my first.
I had one as a kid too. I was about 11 or 12 when I got one. It was on sale at going out of business KB Toys type thing. My dad got me for cheap with a stack of games, but it wasn't my first console. You know, my first console technically was the Odyssey 2. I love the Magnavox Odyssey 2. It beats Atari all day long. You can't tell me anything different. Better looking graphics, more fun games. That's how I feel about it. And I had cousins with
my Master System out, and I would get the NES from a friend. You know, he'd have a week with my Sega, I'd have a week with his NES, and we'd do that a lot. So I did have an NES in my house in those mid-'80s days, and that's how I cut my teeth on that simultaneously. But yeah, for me, it was the Master System, and I've got this nostalgia and love for it that I won't expect anyone else to necessarily have, but it's there, and there's quality there. And I have been in the past doing the series to show the areas that I thought they excelled a little further than Nintendo, even though the general gaming populace did not sit up and take note.
So my first system was the SNES, and I only have probably about 60 games, maybe 65 for it. And it kind of sucks that I can't afford to buy more of them. I mean, I can, but I mean, they've gone up so much in price that it's just not fun to collect it anymore. It's just not.
Yeah,
I love it.
You're talking just buying an EverDrive at a certain point because some of those games are 100 plus. And
Nintendo made a professional EverDrive. It's the SNES Mini.
So yeah, there you go.
Right. So I mean, I would love to get Earthbound, and I still need you to hook up with that Final Fantasy 2. But like,
yep, it's here.
Oh, I know, but like, it's just getting too expensive, man. Like, I don't know. Collecting's fun, but it's just getting too expensive.
So we just got to live with those rare moments in the wild when you pluck them for $1 out of a moldy old basket of horse dung in somebody's garage.
I did that myself. I got that Sunset Riders. It's already been sold. It went for $100 as fast as it could get out of my house. You know what I mean? Like that happened. It was about $7 the other day in a stack of games. And then yesterday, let me just tell this story real quick. Yesterday, I made a deal with a guy off Facebook Marketplace. He had a Donkey Kong cabinet that was retrofitted with the PlayChoice 10 kit. He got 10 games in it. He wanted $800 for it. I offered him 6. He came back at 7. I was like, let's do it. I drove 2 hours to Rome, Georgia on the prettiest day it's ever been. It was gorgeous, sun shining. I didn't think about, I'm going to need a tarp. 10 minutes from home, God decided to laugh and like make it rain on me, and I had to haul ass in the rain. And like I went around a car at a 4-way stop. I didn't fuck around. I was like, nah, I'm getting through here. I got a fucking arcade getting ruined in the back of my car. And I got home and I got a hairdryer out. I hair dried it for 30 minutes or so and got everything that I could see dry. And I crossed my fingers and I plugged that bad boy in and it turned right on. Thank God. So It's out in the garage right now. That's my third play choice. Now again, I like to buy things, clean them up, fix them, make sure they're good and working, and sell them off. That way I can get other stuff I want. Now, if I gots to have it, I'll keep it. Like the Wii U kiosk, that's going nowhere. That's mine. It's just a fucking kiosk, but I think it looks cool as shit, and I wanted it, so it's mine. The Play Choice 10 will be going to the SFGE that Mur and I will be doing our first panel at. Congratulations on that, by the way, Mur, that me and you are going to do a panel together at our first convention coming up here.
Exciting.
June 8th to the 10th, Southern Fried Game Expo. If you're in Atlanta, Georgia, come out. It'll be so much fun. John from Gen X Grown Up, in fact, the whole Gen X Grown Up crew is going to be there, right? Or is it just John?
As far as I know, this season.
All right, so Gen X will be there. We'll be there. It's going to be a blizzast.com. I don't know what a blizzast is, but it'll be a blast. Let's just say that. It's 9:08. I know you were saying you had to go around 9, Dat, but if you want to stay, I mean, we'll run this thing until y'all are done. We got more topics. I know that.
I've only got a few minutes left myself, but
probably hop
Emerald
on.
Game Cave is asking about the N64 mini. So while we're on plug and plays, if either of y'all, before we conclude, want to share your thoughts on that.
Sure.
I I shared my thoughts on John Riggs's post about it the other day, and I already got some hate. But I was like, "What? There gonna be 4 or 5 games on there? Like, because that's all that matters. There's about 4 games that are fucking fun on the 64. To me, I think it's the second most overrated Nintendo console of all time.
Agreed.
And I loved it in college. Do not get me wrong. We played the shit out of GoldenEye and Smash Brothers and had a great time in college. It doesn't hold up, bro. It doesn't hold up.
That's the problem.
They did not hold up.
They didn't hold up. In the late '90s, we also played.
And
a lot of
the
it,
controller is a wonky piece of shit. So, and they all break. Every stick, you cannot. It's so hard to find in the wild, at least, a good working Nintendo 64 controller. Because they're not
Now
good.
that said, it's Nintendo, and I'll buy it. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy one. I'm saying I'm less excited than I was for the NES and the SNES Classic.
Yeah, I'm ready for the NES Classic again because I missed out on that. I tried to stay away from the hype train. I wasn't gonna pay a scalper, and then I found my own way to scalp some. Amazon Prime Now kept having them in, and you could order up to 10 at a time. So I ordered 10 of them real quick. I spent $700 on that shit, and I was like, I'll get my money back, and I put 9 of them online for sale, and they sold within the day. You know what I mean? It was like gone, and I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll get rid of this next one, and then I'll order some more, and then it dried up. They didn't get any more on Amazon Prime, and I wasn't able to get my hands on one, and I sold the one that I bought. So I scalped myself out of my own, and I'm an idiot, and that kind of made me sad to do that. But again, I consider myself a collector and a gamer first, and a flipper scalper second, or a third, fourth maybe. I do it so I can get the stuff that I really want, and I have no qualms about it. If you don't know what your shit's worth, that's your fault, not mine.
Do you think they'll do Fantastic Colors if they do release them?
Probably not.
That's a great question.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, then again, they might go crazy like that. They only did the one, you know.
Crazy is an understatement. That would send the market.
And then also, is it going to have 2 controllers in the box? Because then if it does, then that box is going to be huge. And then is it going to have the ability to hook up 4 or only controllers?
Yeah.
Those are all things that are going to drive that price up.
Yeah, that's all huge stuff to have to think about there. I'm sitting there telling you I want it, not even knowing what I'm asking for. I'm blindly purchasing it.
I mean,
these are all big things to consider.
I mean, they kind of raised the bar with including 2 controllers with the SNES Mini. So, like, now you kind of have to include 2 with the 64 Mini, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
And then, so they're going to have a bigger box. There's more plastic that goes into making those controllers. So, I mean, you're probably looking at $100, which isn't that bad, but I mean,
more like 120 probably.
Probably, because you're gonna have space, and there's a lot of factors that go into that.
And then I buy it because I'm a fan, but I've got an N64 down here with my collection, and an EverDrive 64 popped in the top of it. Why would I buy this thing? But I would, but why, you know.
Well, like I said, I want the NES Classic to come back out again as fast as it can, so I can get a hold of one now and hold on to it. But I won't be playing the scalper game with them again. That I learned my lesson. No, like I said, I went ahead and sold the one I had, thinking I could get another bundle from Amazon Prime, and then that shit dried up. They were never back on Amazon Prime again. It was a fluke. I got lucky one day. A buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, if you want one, they're on Amazon Prime," and I was like, "Oh yeah," and then I was like, "You can order up to 10." Okay, let me get 10 of them.
Yeah, let me get 10.
And I sold 9 of them like immediate, like before they got delivered to my house.
They didn't already hate you, they hate you now.
They can fucking hate all they want. Bring it.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I bought a few extra of both of them.
It's worth it. If you can make your collection cheaper by doing stuff like that, please do. You're an idiot not to. If you're
I wasn't a jackass about it. I didn't sell them for like $300.
Oh no, I know. I think they went for $130 a piece. They were up. That was the Amazon going price, was like $129.99 or something like that. So it was making $40, $50 after shipping it. You were making $40 on each one, and that's what I did.
Resold one way or the other, whether you did it or not. And in a way, you're kind of bird dogging it for whoever was getting it at that price. Because I mean, it's not like it doesn't require some effort, you know.
No. And again, you know, I am all about the flip game, and again, everything you see behind me is paid for and was almost to a point of being free at a certain point. You know what I mean? Because of how you buy bundles and you sell off the stuff you don't need, and then you got the stuff you wanted. So, I last August I sold 80% of my collection for a good chunk of change, and I started over. And you know what I mean? I like the hunt. the finding it and going out and hustling for it and bartering with people and trading for things. That's my favorite thing about the collecting hobby, not the having of it. I've never been super emotionally attached to anything in my life, especially material goods, because they come and go, and if I need it, I'll get it. You know what I mean? I'm not scared to go buy it again. So, and you know that you can hate on me for that. I don't give a shit.
Everybody's collection is their own. But guys, I hate to cut and run. It has been a blast, and I do appreciate very much you guys having me on.
Thank you so much, DGC, for being here. Your input is always greatly appreciated, and I just like to listen to you talk. So, it was fantastic having you. And yeah, we're pretty much out of time for tonight anyway, so definitely going to wrap it up here. But this was a good talk, and it's good to be back in the saddle for podcasting again. And should be back to a regular schedule on this, hopefully every Thursday at 8. You know, every other Thursday at 8.
Unless Friday's a better day. Friday might be a better day. This is our first Friday podcast, so maybe.
And it may be. I mean, we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, we definitely need to get a set time and schedule for what we do when we're doing this. But other than that, I don't care what day it is per se. Just that we keep doing it. And again, thank you guys for hanging out and watching Season 2, Episode 1 of the Talking Retro podcast with me, Captain Retro, one of my best friends on the planet, Emceemur, and our new good buddy, DatGameCollector. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And guys, I've had a great time. We'll talk to y'all later.
Yep. See you next time.